Real good.
Could you speak into the mic really quick, Jeff?
Lighting too?
Yeah,
Yeah, lighting too.
okay, thank you.
Commander, take it away. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could also please stand. We have a moment of silence for Kristen Walsh, the owner of Thompson Sanitation, who passed away this morning. Thank you.
Councilperson Burrell,
Here,
Councilman Act,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Haas, here, Councilman Vigorino,
Present. Supervisor, President. Sue, can you continue with the correspondence, please?
July report for the Uland Fire Department. Emergency calls, personnel hours, 157.46, drills, 126, meetings, 65, miscellaneous, 14.37, with a total of 362.83 hours. For the month of July. Highland Lake Fire Department. Calls, 83.5, drills, 94.5, work nights, 84.5, which is hours. No training classes, and 262.5 for the month of July. Highland Ambulance, 28 calls, 13 mutual aid calls, 1 meeting, 5 drills, with a total of 415 man hours. I have a correspondent for El Costello's looking to have a 30-day advance notice waiver, which will be in the resolutions motions later on in the meeting. Yeah. Well, this is from Elizabeth Stringer. Lessons that the past can teach us about good neighbors and manifest destiny. Back in the early 1600s, when the Pilgrims first came to the American continent, life was rough. If it wasn't for the neighborly intervention of the Wampanoag people, sure I'm not saying it right, the settlement would have most likely have failed during a particularly harsh winter in 1620. The Europeans repaid the kindness shown to them by seizing native land, imprisoning, enslaving, and executing native people, acting with the strength and their belief of manifest destiny. The white man and their belief were the superior, chosen people by God to rule over the new land. The natives were poor savages, no better than vermin, and were a hindrance to progress and thereby the enemy. This belief did not go well for the native tribes across the land. What can we learn about this past? That being neighborly to any group of people who look to move into our area with the belief that they are inherently superior to any other group of people who have no desire to better the community as is, but to change it for their own purpose, who will not pay taxes and will not respect the rights of those in the already established in the community, should not be looked at with favor. It is obvious to anyone who travels the roads in this area where the good tenants of the land are and where they are not. I think I'm going to stop this.
I think I'll join.
I'm not liking where it's going.
That's fine. Is there any other further correspondence?
So that there is not.
Okay, got it. Is there any public comment on the agenda? Yes.
Supervisor, just was wondering why Heroes Park is not on there anymore, 9/11.
We just have a very packed agenda today, so a lot of the committee
Just in the
individual.
last 3 months, I've been taking a look at the agenda and I do report on what's going on.
Do you have anything?
Well, no, just
Do you already know
I just
information?
don't know why I'm not on the agenda anymore.
It's
I've
just-
known that since that park was built.
Sure, so for just expediency this evening, that's why I asked you earlier if you had any specific items. So because you didn't have any specific items to share with the public today, we're still
And
very,
also let you know what's going on with the American Legion and the VFW as well.
sure. Did you want to give an update?
Well, I just wanted to let you know,
Okay.
why I wasn't on here.
Yeah, for expediency, we eliminated some of the committee reports today, because we have a special presentation. Any other further public comments on the agenda? Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead because we have a special guest and we'll go back to the rest of the meeting, but I want to bring up Elizabeth's son. She has a special presentation for us and is announcing a very special grant that we're receiving. So Elizabeth, I will do my best to help navigate your presentation as well.
Where's a good place to sit?
Actually at the podium, so you're on camera and we can hear you and our audience can hear you online. Thank you.
Gonna just lean over a bit. Hello, good evening. My name's Liz Sun. I work for the Hudson Valley Regional Council. And I'm here to talk about a program that I work on, the Clean Energy Communities Program. So a little bit about Hudson Regional Council, City York State. So it's Sullivan County, Dutchess, Putnam, and Rockland. And we work on several different programs as well as economic development and water resources. Our CEC program, more for municipalities, but communities on this program. And essentially the CEC communities to do sustainability projects. And so, and actually has been awarded a $1,000 grant for there's a lot of communities that are currently working on it. This is just the first phase. $10,000 is an amazing achievement. You all should be proud. And yeah, just here to talk more about what that will look like due to that funding, opportunities for more grants after that, etc. So like I said, that is just the first step of the program. The $10,000 grant again, is a great achievement. There are larger grants out there, so the next one, beyond the $10,000 is $50,000 grant, which again can be used for different clean energy projects. The way that the town was awarded this grant is from doing a few things. I think if you could skip ahead to where some of that. Maybe the next slide. Yeah. Maybe one more. Sorry, I'm kind of going off the end. There was like you passed a benchmarking resolution, right? Buildings, you passed a unified solar permit. You had your code office up, they submitted documentation of these actions. They sent it into this organization, the New York State Research and Development Authority, or NYSERDA, and then that agency recognized the town and were better. And these are just the list of actions that the town can do. So if you are interested in learning more about what each of them are, feel free to reach out after the meeting. Yep, and that's just again a list of all of the actions that have been completed so far. And then what can the town do after that? So I think on the next slide, yeah. So there's like a few things that can be done, following the grant award. So first, the town needs to think about what they want to spend that $10,000 on. There's a few things that they can do, like if they want to get an audit of one of their municipal buildings to figure out what energy efficiency improvements they can make. If you want to put in heat pumps into a building, if you have any places to put solar panels, you can do that. And then that's just with the $10,000 grant. So for the next level, which would be at 3,000 points, you can get a $50,000 grant. There's a few things that you're basically ready to submit for. So that'd be changing all your streetlights to LEDs. You can continue to do benchmarking. So if you took all the energy data for all of your buildings, you could submit that. Or you could start something called a community campaign. So basically, if you're working to promote and educate residents about the different clean energy technologies, so like heat pumps, getting an electric vehicle, or setting up a solar. And so if the town were to promote those things and show proof of that promotion, that some of the residents have installed a heat pump, then they would also get a grant for doing that. And the first grant you get is $5,000. So following this meeting, if you do want to set up a one-on-one with Eleanor, or you can come to our office hours, again, we'd be happy to talk to you more about what this program is. If you have any questions on how you as a resident you want to get involved in. Another program that we also work on is like Climate Smart Communities program. So it's sort of like a sister program to CEC. There is grant funding associated with it, but it's mostly out of recognition for if you're doing climate related work, like if you are trying to address like flooding or like a heat waves. And so you can get recognition for doing that. That's my presentation.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Does anybody from the community have any questions about the grant or our requirements, or any other questions for Elizabeth? So just a little background, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but we submitted the training for one of our code enforcers who we contract with through Cusco. And because of his extended training, that qualified us automatically for the $10,000 grant, which is really exciting. I spoke to the buildings department, and we thought that maybe the best use of funds would be to put split systems into the various regions of town hall. So it would require probably about 2 to 3 compressors and 4 to 5 units to cover split, or as you guys call them, pump systems.
Heat pumps, yeah.
Yeah, heat pumps. So they work dually as air conditioning and heating, and so it increases the efficiency of our buildings. So that seems to be the direction of what we're thinking. And then we do have the assistant chair of our planning board, Frank Monteleone is also certified with NYSEG to give analysis. So we can actually use him as a consultant, which is pretty great, to analyze like our energy usage and how we can best utilize like this sort of new updated, more efficient system. So we're really excited. Hopefully we'll keep making lots more points and work towards like those larger grant systems. But thank you so much. Again, are there any further questions? Yes.
Years ago, Orange and Rockland offered a free assessment of homes and what could be done to improve the efficiency of their heating and air conditioning. Do you offer any such free program to your members?
My organization doesn't, but there is another one, Cornell Cooperative Extension, that we work with. Yeah, they have energy home advisors and they can do a free assessment. Yeah, I would be happy to share that information maybe with the supervisor following and he can pass it around.
And just to be clear, for total transparency, you know, our committee contacted this office and they just asked for certain certifications from us. We haven't filled out any like grant paperwork or anything. This is just a qualification that as a New York State town, we are obliged to take and run with it. So thank you so much. Any questions from the board?
Yes, and I would be happy to share that with the town supervisor and he can share it with anyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. And don't feel obliged to stick around for all of our business, but please try Marianne's brownies because they're delicious. So then to continue with the agenda, the last meeting, in my opinion, was nothing I want to repeat. So I want to lay down some general rules of decorum. As you can see, I was gifted this lovely gavel. So sorry about. I'm going to use it, and I don't want to tolerate anything that happened the last time. So I prepared a statement that I'd like to read to everybody. Thank you to everybody for being here tonight. I feel the need to formally establish protocol. Town board meetings are a place for the town board to conduct the business of the town of Highland in front of our taxpayers, and it's my sole responsibility to carry out and devise the agenda with the business the board establishes. The last election saw a referendum on the way things were being run, plain and simple. We were elected to introduce a new approach and a fresh vision for our town. We have now been in our roles for a little over 8 months, so we are no longer so new. We were never given the chance to find our footing before the attacks from within ensued. From the first meeting with all board members in attendance, the Office for Open Meetings was contacted for the supposed transgressions. However, we persevered. And now we have a lot of accomplishments to show, whether you agree with our new policies or not. We are working very hard, putting in long hours with sleepless nights to do right by everyone. We had moved to record our meetings, shared our abstracts for bills paid, and provide transparency for all who participate. We've moved to reestablish the beloved St. Patrick's Day parade tradition and other town moments of connectivity that highlight the richness of each hamlet and support economic health of the businesses within. We have moved to bond our latest vehicle purchases at the lowest rates possible and to create a sustainable program to get the safest vehicles on the road before they are a burden to the town, while retaining funds for economic agility, despite attempts to thwart the decisions of the majority of the board. We've held very successful comprehensive plan meetings, gathering input from a diverse section of the town that will inform our collective vision for the future of our town, with top talent from MRB Group leading the charge to reflect the will of the taxpayers. We've extended a 5-year contract to the hardworking highway department, our only full-time employees, at a minimal sustainable investment. We canceled policies for coverage on a company that no longer exists, saving the town thousands of dollars. We've reset the leadership of the planning board with thoughtful, knowledgeable, and more diverse and talented leadership, more reflective of the ideals of the entire community. We've uncovered several rocks and responded to relevant inquiries from the community and will continue to do so. In some cases, where there is smoke, there is fire. In others, there is innuendo and rumor. I can tell you the newest elected members of the board are giving it our all. What I will no longer continue to do is entertain rude, outlandish interjections from certain members of the board, their family members, and a small select member of the public that has that intent. We are a small town with a lot of heart, and I will not tolerate this sort of divisive national rhetoric, outlandish, rehearsed, and downright pathetic vitriol filled with baseless accusations that reflect truth, and moreover, sully your perceived legacies. I urge you to find new ways to channel your aggressions into something positive. Your hatred and negativity have now surpassed your love for the town. We need volunteers. We need everyone to be part of a civil conversation and band together to protect one another from the real challenges our community faces. Try for one moment to see what comes from creation and participation. Be part of the solution, please. Thank you. And so to further our grants committee presentation tonight, we're very excited to announce that Assemblywoman Aileen Gunther has awarded the town with $50,000 to improve. Yes, it's very exciting. It's to improve our senior center kitchen, to bring it up to a commercial standard, so that we can both accommodate food programs with Hudson Valley Gibbs, a single bite, and other resources within the town. The program is going to be keyed by Jessica Weiss. And we're still in the exploration phase because this money has been awarded to renovate the kitchen. We still need to work with the seniors, the senior group, to divert, come up with a work plan, basically. So we're going to talk to Jessica about what the needs are to fulfill those meal programs on a monthly basis. And then the building department will devise what the work plan is. If we need an RFP for any work done, and then we'll present those RFPs for approval at the next town board meeting. Does anybody have any questions on the board? Thank you. And again, Elizabeth was here talking about our Clean Energies Grant. We intend to pursue the rest of the incentives that they've set forth. So stick around and hopefully we'll be getting another $16,000 from our agency by the end of the year. Joe Barnes, you're up.
You want me to go there?
No, you can stay where you are. You're loud.
Okay. Well, the start of the month, our backhoe power bill unit swivel bucket down for 2 months. That was accomplished. We spot ditched on Bell, Park, Schumacher Pond, Driver Road. Started to grade Clark Road, spread the millings from the top of the road project here. We replaced the pipe at Airport Road, Washington Lake Outlet. Bob sealed Devlin and Crawford Road, preparation for sealing it with oil and stone. We ordered 400 tons of stone for those 2 projects. And I did secure $200,000 from CHIPS. And as soon as the projects are done, I will hopefully secure another $85,000 through Pave New York, emergency winter repair, and pave our potholes.
And so, Joe, I just wanted to follow up on one thing. So there was a requested road closure, and it seemed like the remedy could be to put signage up that says, no through traffic, something of that nature for that requested road closure. Have you circled back with the property owner to find out if that's amenable, if that works for them?
I did not check this.
Okay.
Wants to go through traffic, no outlet, as Clark Road has. I have no problem doing it.
Yes, so if you
It's 650 feet of road.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it doesn't sound like a large road, but we get money for chips for every foot of road basically that we have that are just solely town roads, and that's solely a town road. So we don't really want to close it, even though it is really surrounding his property and maybe one adjacent property owners, one of which is his sister. So, we don't really want to mess with that too much in terms of taking money out of our budgets for chips, but But if we could solve it with signage, I think that would be the best case.
This, John, I met with the property owner, I had a meeting with him, like, into the property lines. He's going to the county to actually get the land, but his layout. And he still wants to discuss it, so I don't know if he's 100% on the signage.
Okay, got it.
So, jiggle that and let's talk.
Yeah, we
about
can
it
see,
next month.
yeah, that's great. I know Joe did pull the same abstract from the count, you pulled the same lot lines and everything from the
Yes.
county machine, so.
Yes.
So, yeah, maybe if you guys could knock heads and we could, move it at the next meeting, that'd be great.
All right.
Thank you. Also with the river access projects, I do have to commend the Town of Highland Highway Department. They've really taken the lead on the river access project. They're well over halfway complete on the path. They just have about 1,000 feet and it should be completed by tomorrow. So for those of you who don't know what the river access project is, we were awarded in 2021 to improve all the river accesses in the town. I was the community liaison on it along with Councilperson Haas. The work is now commenced and we're very excited. The only part of the project that was completed back in 2022 was the mural at the cul-de-sac in Berryville. The second site is the what we'll call the Town of Highland Green Space, which is the little green area adjacent to the water. Don't call it a beach, don't call it a park, but it's at the end of River Road. We're going to be voting on it later on. But we've spoken to the county about putting no parking signs there and we'll assess a small parking fee if people do choose to park there. We don't want this to be a distraction to the local residents who live on that road. It's also a very narrow county road, which I was told by the DPW Commissioner and McAndrew, if we can pass a motion tonight to vote for the parking fees and for the no parking signs, that the county will go ahead and sign it for us and post those signs. So hopefully we get that done this evening. Elsewhere, the Highland Access, that was a county project. We gave money for canoe racks and bike racks at Eagle Observation 1. We basically just excavated and changed the slope and we'll drop new product there so it doesn't flood out. That's the one closest to the edge of River Road, at the far end of River Road. At Eagle Observation 2, many of you might have noticed that we removed the Eagle Blind booth. There was a group called the Eagle Institute about 15 years ago. There was a study done and they thought that eagles were sensitive to sound and they put up this eagle blind with a lot of other signs about eagles and viewing eagles. It was determined that we have a very healthy eagle population at this point, and the Delaware Highlands Conservancy took over that interest. And it was the recommendation that we just remove the booth. Also, it was in disrepair and would have cost the project about $14,000. So we decided to eliminate the booth and we're going to pour a concrete path there with handicap parking so people can view the eagles. There's actually 2 nests. They love to nest in dead trees right across from that space where the eagle blind used to be. And then the connector path. I will talk, is our town historian here? Deb, can you please tell us just an elevator pitch on what the Cape project is and what's where we're at with it?
Okay, this is probably the 1,000 times overdue. The Cape project was conceived in 2018 by me. It's going to be a hiking trail along the Delaware and Hudson Canal towpath. It will continue the path that the National Park Service has that starts above the rolling, goes under the bridge, and then comes back up onto 97. So the town is, thank you for the applaud for the town guys, because they've done a hell of a job in the last few days with a contractor that's been put to work. The first phase of the project was initiated by the Delaware Company. This was all conceived by the Delaware Company, of which I'm also the executive director. The first phase was clearing a view shed that the late Ron Field did for at the cost of $30,000 that we raised grant money and Upper Delaware Scenic Byway grant complete. Eventually, the path, once it's completed, there will be bluestone benches placed along it, along with interpretive signage. People can sit along the river and reflect on the river and reflect on the eagles and reflect request on the bluestone industry. There'll be a lot of information along there, and the ultimate goal is to have a statue there similar to the one that's at the Erie Canal Museum in Syracuse, New York, of a Hoggy and a mule. A Hoggy is one of the young children that rode the mules and guided them along the towpath that pulled the canal boats 108 miles from Homestead, Pennsylvania to Vermont in Kingston, New York. So we will be part of a larger plan of hiking trails. The town of Mammoth was way ahead of us because they have more access to the trail. A lot of ours, unfortunately, abuts private property, the campgrounds and such, so we won't have a clear path. But this is a huge step. As I said, it started in 2018, and I'm thrilled with the progress that it's finally being made.
Thank you. Yeah, so we were awarded $100,000. The highway department at the time committed to about $25,000 in shared services and basically just work on it. They far exceeded expectations. They've really taken the lead on this. So we've ordered the signage, the interpretive signage at each one of these sites as well, each one of these sites as well. That should be completed by September. And we should have the project complete by the end of October, which is very, very exciting. And we couldn't have done it without Joe and the guys in the highway department and everybody's hard work and dedication. And we kind of got a match flip under us because we're the last of the Sullivan Renaissance grants. They transitioned solely into Sullivan 180. And so they basically said, finish your project by the end of October so you get to keep all this money. So we went into high gear and now it's going to be completed. So we're very excited about that. Deb, did you have another historian report at all?
No, that's the main thing.
Okay. I also see our lovely UDC rep here. I don't have it on the agenda, but did you have an item you wanted to include?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a little update from UDC. And also I have a bunch of the most recent newsletters, which I'd like to pass out. This is enough for everyone. So don't fight over them. We can pass these around. So it's a great newsletter. It has our own regular slot as one of the featured articles in it. We update the bridges repairs. It talks about the report of the river sojourn this year. It talks about the National Park Service's turtle study that's going on, which is really important for your study. Studying freshwater turtles in the river and area. It talks about the DRBC's recent commitment to climate resilience. It talks about the Upper Delaware Scenic Highway Awards and honors of the honorees that were recently celebrated and more. But there's one issue that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention and to the town's attention, which I've already written a letter to town to this project. On August 1st, there was a presentation by Guy Foster and Tom Ruby of the U.S. Geological Survey. And what they do is they manage the water gauges along the upper Delaware. And they talked about the shutting down of the Berryville gauge that's right near the Berryville Bridge. So it was shut down as of March 2024, and currently only historical data is available from that resource, but USGS is not able to maintain the data collection because of the shortage of funding. So these water gauges are all funded by a combination of federal and local partners, 35% federal, and then the rest are local partners. So there's right now, we want to get that gauge, the engaged, if you will. It would cost about $7,000 a year for that data collection to be, revived. The gauge monitors essential data such as temperature, specific conductance, oxygen, pH levels, turbidity, alkyl fluorescence, dissolved organic matter, nitrates, etc. Important stuff. And the only other most closest gauges are in Lackawaxen and Matamora, so it's quite a long distance, and I feel that, that gauge represents us and gives us supportive data. And so it sort of behooves us to try and find that funding. There may be a possibility that the partners, the RBC and National Park Service will sweep in and make sort of higher priority of this for 2026. But for now, we need to probably raise the $10,000 to get the gauge working again. So, okay, there'll be more on that in the future. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about the River Valley Awards, the big event that you can see. They've announced the keynote speaker, Pennsylvania Director of Recreation, Nathan Reiner. So that's going to be on September 22nd. If you want to make a nomination, then please, the nominations need to be accepted by August 23rd. And reservations are available for $34 for that celebration. And reservations are due by September 13th.
Thank you, Christine. Did you have a question?
Yeah. There's a guy running in this district for his congressional seat in the U.S. Geological Surveys Federal. Why would we pay for a piece of federal equipment? Why don't we talk
I'm
about
not
it?
suggesting we pay for it, and the UCC is trying to lobby, we can't really use that word, it's not legally allowed to lobby, but we're going to, reach out to the DREC and the Park Service and some of the other local partners that traditionally fund all of the gauges. So it would not come from the town. I'm not suggesting the town. The county has also stepped up and said they could possibly be interested in it, but it does behoove us to seek that funding out. It will come from the town.
Yeah. And just two points. So Laura and I back in January had sat down for a presentation with Friends of the Upper Delaware, and they were doing a culvert study, and they included some gauges as part of the culvert study. So I included Christine in correspondence with the Friends of the Upper Delaware, the directors, to see if this could qualify. There was also another culvert along 97 that's fallen into disrepair. Again, it's a state project. So we've also referred that to Friends of the Upper Delaware as well. So they get lots and lots of money. They're competitive with the UDC, with the Upper Delaware Scenic Byway. And for some, they have great lobbyists because they have millions of dollars to conduct these projects, so much that they basically told Laura and I when they sat with us, we're just casting a wide net to see what we should do for projects. Whereas most of the organizations say, hey, we have all these projects and we need to find money. So I felt really comfortable asking them about this gauge. So I guess we're just waiting to hear back. And then also the UDC Award Center is wonderful. There's a lot of award winners from the town of Highland. It's a really lovely affair. And if you guys have nominations, I'll post all the contact information on the supervisor Facebook page and also on the town website if you want to nominate somebody in our community for River Excellence or anything there. Thank you, Christine. Marion O'Neill Culture Club, Tim Osek could not be here today to report on this event that he's keying, but this is our, we're trying to approach events in each one of the hamlets throughout the year. So the Labor Day highlight will be held at Sand Beach in Highland Lake. We're really excited. We have Shane Pearson's food truck. Shane Pearson is, of course, the grandson of Marion O'Neill, for which the committee is named after. He'll have his food truck. So the first 100 people who attend will receive a free hot dog or hamburger, compliments of River Eatery. We were also awarded $1,000 from Jack Bank as a sponsorship, which was passed through to the Greater Berryville Chamber of Commerce because they can only award nonprofits with sponsorship fees. So they'll be keying all the expenses. We've also hired the River Ramblers, and this flyer was designed by Kelly Levensworth. So if you guys, I don't know if you guys recognize that name, but she reached out, she found out about our signage grants to say, hey, I'd love to help with graphic design and things. So she was wonderful enough to design our flyer, and hopefully we'll be using her for our new sign as part of our beautification efforts along with the Chamber of Commerce. So I hope everybody can make it. Again, that's on Labor Day, September 2nd. Sand Beach is also extended free admission to everybody. I heard something about a bounce house, so that could be really fun too. So everybody come out. That'll be from 1 to 5 on Labor Day. with the rain date of September 7th, if we do get rained out. But this should be a really fun day and another moment of connectivity, and we want to support one of the only local businesses in Highland Lake. So it's very exciting stuff. Insurance committee, I sat and we did a insurance review. Sounds like all of our rates will be held tight. I did have to sit for a spam and phishing review and quiz about our town. We've turned in 2 cyber attack claims, or sorry, we've turned in 1 cyber attack claim. Basically, they're phishing in emails, really embedding themselves for months at a time, and then keeping sort of conversational back and forth correspondence with members of the town board, and it appears as if it's coming from the town board. So we were able to reclaim one of the deposits that was made into a sort of ghost account. Basically, they appear to be like a town board member. They say, hey, can I change my direct deposit information? They deposit the money into the account, and they deposit it on one of those like temporary debit cards where you can make the deposit and load it up yourself. And then they take the money and then we never hear from them again, obviously. But we were able to reclaim this. It wasn't a very large amount of money. Our deductible was $250. So overall, the town lost $250 on the scheme in general. But they are going to bid out our cyber policy, which was canceled in 2022. So they're going to give us a new bid for it that we'll review as a town board coming up. But it was a really great review. We're doing really well despite, how we may feel sometimes in our town. There's not as much turbulence as some other small towns. And there's definitely a lack of claims in our community. So they were happy with us, I suppose. So it was good. Heather Jackson Carroll here. The Comprehensive Plan Committee is going to assembling their survey that's going to go out to all residents. This will inform the comprehensive plan. We've had 4 sessions, and we're going to have one more about us, Sullivan County, and our neck of the woods being a medical desert. And there's some really wonderful answers to that. There's a study being conducted by NYU professor Chris Dickey, who lives in town. He was supposed to be here tonight to present to everybody, but his dog had a medical emergency. And he had to take it to an emergency vet. So he's hopefully going to present next month. And NYU will be keying the medical questions for everybody. And we've also requested time with the senior center as well. So we'll be presenting to them and filling out a separate questionnaire for the senior group as a test market of your medical needs. The goal right now is to provide like a catch-all clinic, pharmacy, and lab and diagnostics center within the town of Highland. It would be at no cost to the town of Highland. We're just trying to determine what the community needs and then service the community in that way. So it's very exciting stuff. I'll let Chris, the medical expert, talk about it in September. But we have a lot of really great stuff coming up down the pipe, especially with the comprehensive plan and everything related to it. We did submit our CFA application via our consultants and our lead group. Buildings, Tom.
Exterminator.
Good.
Yeah.
The repairs for the month of July. We had the town hall clerk's office in the vault. The roof was leaking through one of those heavy rainstorms. We had Correct Roofing come out and make the repairs at a cost of $685. But in the near future, we are going to need a roof on this building. The UV unit, the ultraviolet unit that takes care of the bacteria in water for the community center has been replaced. So we'll be giving you an update on that as well. There's been some additional filtration that's going to be needed for sediment and other particulates. So we'll keep you posted on that. The town, I want to credit to the town highway department again. They sent over a couple of the guys. They repaired the ladies' room toilet pressure tank, replaced the valves for the flushometers in the men's room, which was great. We didn't have to go out and hire a plumber. They were able to take care of that. So once again, the town highway department is here for us. Also, I asked them to do a couple of things that are not part of their contract. They continue to pick up garbage where I asked. There was a grill that was outside a residence on Airport Road. I asked them to take care of that. They did. There was a mouse in the courthouse. They took care of that. But my many thanks to them. That's where we stand right now.
Code, tell me the exterminator, please.
Yes, did everyone have a chance to review the information on the exterminator? I'd like to hear what everyone has to say about that. We can make this decision for now. Do you have anyone, Jim or Gaten? Laura?
Reviewed what the proposals that you give us.
Okay, well, I felt the best one was the Ehrlich. It's it's for bugs and rodents. It's $1,042 setup fee. It's $455 a month to maintain. He said he could do it, he'll do 60 days for us, which would be half, approximately $230 or so. Seemed like he had the best deal.
When you say have to, mean it's what we originally spoke about, like doing it every 2 months instead of.
Those services every 2 months. I mean, our main problem with the buildings is rodents, not so much bugs.
And in the courthouse, we have snakes. We get a lot of text messages from the clerks that when there's places.
To make it clear, snakes are not included in this. No one does snakes, and they said there's not too much they can do.
Snakes take care of themselves.
That's the truth. That's exactly what they said. Take care of the rodents, you'll most likely to take care of the snakes. So we have to make a decision. We don't have to make it tonight.
Sure, did you have?
People have, take care of snakes right off the bat.
Thank you.
They don't like them. We just put them under the ground, around the ground, around the backside, and they don't really.
Thank you. Okay, so, I would go ahead and motion to approve the contract with, Ehrlich.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, we got somebody here.
I got a question for Tom. If the water to see is drinkable at this point? I was up there Saturday at our VFW meeting, and we don't use that water to make coffee or anything. We did turn water on to the washing. So we had there and not rusting the water. So I think that was at the time you were working on that. So if that water is drinkable, you thought it's heated enough. Don't drink it.
Yeah, and,
In fact, we need to post the sign.
yeah, and Pete, in addition to that, like part of the grant with Amy's office is to get a filtration system as well. If the water has not been maintained since, I think the last health department permit is 2017 in the health and senior center. So we're trying to get the kitchen in general up to compliance, so it's actually legally usable. So this would be part of that extension, but we didn't want to spend too much money knowing that this grant was kind of coming down the pipe. We didn't want to spend too much money into
Okay, the water is the water cooler, yeah, the water is potable. Don't drink.
yeah, I would just say
That's the advice.
okay, so we made the motion for the
For Ehrlich.
See, you can go call please, so you need a contract. Do I have a motion, sorry, to state it for the record, do I have a motion to? Do I have a motion to approve the contract with Ehrlich for bi-monthly exterminator services? We need the motion, second, so nothing's changed, all in favor?
Hi.
All opposed? Any abstentions? So moved.
Mr. Supervisor, before you actually sign, you're authorized to sign this contract, obviously, pursuant to the resolution, but consider the contract before you actually sign it.
Yes, you got it. Code, Laura, do you want to give a report?
Yeah, we've been working with the code enforcement clerk, officer, planning board to rethink the application process as a project comes into the code office, expanding the list of questions that we ask, asking for more information, more detailed information, giving more options than what currently exists on the planning board application that goes eventually to either directly to code enforcement or to the referred to the zoning board or the planning board, should it be a larger project with more details. And one of the things that we noticed from the beginning of the year was our outdated fee structure. So we spent a lot of time researching surrounding towns, looking at comparable costs, looking at where we're falling short of what it actually costs to complete an action, to execute a permit versus what we were charging. We did a a cost analysis against surrounding towns, and we have submitted a renewed fee structure to all board members with the impetus to provide notes and feedback by August 1st. And so we were hoping to make a motion and vote on a revised fee structure, which parallels with the improved application process, which will help us really minimize the amount of meetings required per applicant should they come to the meeting prepared and submit everything in advance. So we're trying to really make some inroads with the public in terms of accomplishing the tasks they need to, if it's a new roof or if it's a new business, get all the information ahead of time and make sure all the check boxes are checked. And the code enforcement team has been involved in the discussion from the beginning. And the fee structure goes with that, but it is required for us if we make any adjustments to the fee structure to have a board vote resolution. And so that's what I'm here presenting tonight,
Thank you. And you just did this with the town board in January. or
July.
Yeah, some,
24th.
July 24th.
So when are we gonna get this? To review and everything?
We submitted it to you right after it was created and went through a process. We asked for notes as of August 1st.
We just had one question. What determines what's a small project for initial escrow and large project for initial escrow?
That's a great question. There in the new application process, there are some more detailed questions that we aren't asking. So sometimes a project will come in and it's like 3 months go by before we're like, well, we need a more detailed site plan or we need an engineer report. So the application adjustment will have a greater sense of whether it's a small versus large. And then we have asked our planning board chair to review the applications and double check them with code before progressing to being put on a schedule. And that's also a secondary check for large versus small bids.
So do we have a copy of the new application?
Yeah, we can send that. Absolutely.
But the fee structure is the only thing that needs to be confirmed by the board.
Yeah.
The planning board themselves will determine what the new application entails. And Jeff, do you want to give us some highlights? Like we're
Hold on.
voting on.
I just wanted to follow up.
Sure.
Okay, so the application, like, we really want more eyes on it. I think that there's questions that you guys would be really helpful for further fleshing that out. So that's not something we're like starting with. We'd really love to see any modifications or notes.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's what's gonna define
Yeah,
the fee structure that we're approving. I'd like to know what those questions are.
absolutely.
That's why that's.
Jeff, can you highlight any major changes that you've made to the application process?
So code will really drive the initial request of an application, will come into code will link the determination. As far as if it's something that can be addressed with code and approved. They will then make the determination if it needs to go either to CBA or to planning board. As far as planning board is concerned, then we have a revised application that will start at that time, level 2 to the planning board, and we'll get a copy of that to you. And essentially it's just gathering all the information for whatever that specific application is. So is it a site plan review, special use permit, lot line adjustment, etc. And what is the supporting information, documentation, maps, plans, etc. that's needed from that. And that we have all of that information before and review and receive before they're even scheduled to come in front of the planning board, so that when they come in front of the planning board, we're trying to work smarter, not harder, so that they don't have to spend 3 or 4 months in front of the planning board. Instead, they'll come in, the material will be there, either we can review it and make our decision, or we'll have to schedule a public hearing and it'll be a second one, and then again, hopefully at that time, we'll be able to make a decision rather than we forgot this, or we didn't ask for this, or we did this, and try to capture that in the front side of it. So the application really encompasses, it's kind of a checklist and encompasses that information that will help us to determine or move along the project smarter, quicker.
Okay, so but when they, I'm just trying to clarify, at what point, so they collect initially $500 and then it's upgraded if it's determined to be a large project, or at what point do they determine which an escrow is that set by the planning board based on your review of the new application, or?
That'll be in conjunction with code
Okay.
for the determination of the scope and size of the project.
On talking about that, I got this letter in my mailbox. I want to give to everybody that you sent to the planning board. That everything's got to go through you before it goes in front of the planning board. It says Helena, effective immediately, any requests that come to you, information and questions or concerns regarding planning board, first goes discussed with you and not any other planning board meeting. Person, members, it's got your name right on it here. So you're the boss and nobody else in the members get to vote on any of this?
No. You know,
Tim?
I'm sorry,
Well, I don't know, somebody left this in my,
is serious, but right now we're gonna table this conversation because we're talking about the fee structure for the applications.
oh, I'm just asking him because he's part of the.
We're actually not going to discuss this right now, Jim. Because we have no idea the origin of this letter, and we were discussing the fee structure for the applications. So you're not going to derail the meeting right now with an anonymous letter.
I'm not
You're going to do it.
derailing, I'm not
We're
derailing.
doing it today.
But it's in regards to the process, I think.
Yeah, Tom, you can see it too. That's it. It's the process between the code and the planning.
That's not
If
what
you're
we're
gonna go,
discussing.
you're gonna go.
That's not what we're discussing.
Got it. Yeah, he's got it. Everybody's got it. I'm just asking. That's all.
Great. We're not going to continue this conversation, so if you have questions for Jeff, or you'd like to talk about the processes of the planning board, you can go to a planning board meeting and talk about those things.
Well, the liaison.
Thank you very much.
The liaison.
Thank you very much, Jim.
The
Thank you
liaison.
very much.
You guys in the liaison?
World Wrestling Team. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
oh, it's just great. Somebody's got a question.
This is enough.
I guess you taxpayers don't have no answers.
Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a move? Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a motion to approve the construction? No, because that's not what we're discussing right now as part of time. I'm sorry, this is not a public comment section. We have public comment at the end of the meeting, so if you have Caroline, if you have questions, we have a public comment section at the end of the meeting. That's not the truth. I'm all for this conversation. It's just not what we're discussing right now. I have a gavel because I'm the supervisor and I'm leading the meeting. Thank you very much. We're now reading the email. You can get a copy of it if you want. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comment. Do I have a motion?
Tom has a question.
Sorry, Tom.
She's got. Kayla brought up a good point about small and large. Feel good?
No, I wish I didn't have to do it, to be honest. Correct, because people are rejecting when we have a council person who is elected to lead the conversation, so please continue, Tom.
Okay, about the escrow amounts. Person large profits.
All I was
It
asking,
should be probably identified by square foot. That would probably be.
or scope, I mean, I was going.
Yeah, you're right.
Is it scope? Is it what makes it the difference between small and large?
Oh, that's a good point.
So the question about the, I mean, I thought it was a good question as well.
So, Chair,
I
responding
haven't got an answer.
Jeff, responding to Caitlin's question, the code enforcer will determine if it's a small or large project after a site visit, or they dig into the project, whether it goes through their paperwork.
I understand how to determine, I'm asking what is the difference between small and large, because it's up to the code enforcement officer's discretion, what are they measuring against? I think you have to have some pretty clear, otherwise someone's gonna say, well, my project should be considered small because it's relative to their house is small.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Jeff,
That's a good point. Why, we'll, look at the square footage, come up with a size for small and then what for
I
large.
think square footage or scope.
My sole comment here is what we're talking about, it's an initial estimate. So it's not like a fee for, a generator, which is $100.
Right.
And, if we were determining, a large generator versus what, then of course we'd have to know that criteria. So here it's an initial escrow. And But, you know, what I took from Jeff's earlier comment, planning board chair's earlier comment is that it would be, you know, would be a determination that would just be based, that would be flexible based on the facts and circumstances, but if you wanna characterize some sort of criteria, then make that, that sounds reasonable as well.
So does the board feel like we don't have enough information because of the scoping to vote on this evening?
I mean, I don't.
Vote on it, but we have to put,
You gotta have some kind of guidelines to go by that. You just can't vote on something and you don't even know what it's gonna be like.
So we'll table this discussion, we'll do further research. Jeff, if you could circle back, for any questions like from the board, if they could email any questions you have about this to Jeff, so he can address it either at the planning board meeting or direct correspondence with the board, that'd be appreciated. And, if we could come up with some sort of parameters with the code enforcement agency to determine small and large project that, I don't know if it's been determined in other towns where you could do research or ask around where you guys, did you see that on another town's website or?
Yeah, there's, I don't have that information in front of me, but. We'll come up with something. When we look at the projects that came in front of us. It's pretty apparent what is a small scope. If I can give an example, like Adona Hall, that's a small scope project versus a FINPO, that's a large scope project. And Eldrick Reserve is a large scope project versus smaller. Permitted use of a smaller building, wine store, you know, those kind of things. So in that sense, it comes pretty apparent, but certainly to have that. To identify, and we'll figure out the square footage or the scope, what that actually looks like, so it's much clearer for the public and for the applicant.
Got it, so we can table this conversation if we could just do a little bit of research.
Sure, and can I just ask though, in going through, is that the only comment that is on the fee structure, or any other questions or things that need to be clarified?
Yeah, as long as the whole board of any board gets to vote on it.
We were given.
Not just the chair or anybody that thinks
We were
they're the
given
boss.
information on July 24th by Laura, asked for comments by August 1st, it's now August 13th.
I
And
understand.
so you were supposed to submit your questions that you had about it, and we were gonna vote on it this evening.
yeah. John, I believe this was an oversight, you know, because I as well looked at this and it didn't catch my eye until, you know, David brought it up. And it's a good point. Okay, the fact is, projects should probably be priced per square foot to keep it fair. You have a small project. What's a small project? 5,000 square feet. What's a large project? You mentioned the Eldrick Reserve. That's a 13,000 square foot project. I could see them paying $5,000. But what about the guy in the middle who has a 6,500 square foot project? How do we determine that? Is he small? Is he large? You know.
How do you determine if they have to have the code enforcement involved? Or if it's big enough that you don't need a code, that you hire your own engineer?
That's determined by the code enforcement office, so.
Because you don't have to come to the code if you don't want to, if you want to hire your own engineer. No engineer overrides.
The code office could still determine what the next process is for the project, so if the code office says, hey, you need to go get a site plan review because, or you need a special use permit, that's determined by the code office, not by the planning board. So if they have a project, they still have to go come before the code office, even if they hire their own engineer.
Everything starts with code enforcement.
Yeah, but also an engineer will override. That's why they had the engineers override on the septics and stuff.
Great, so we're gonna table this conversation until the next meeting. Thank you, Jeff, for your presentation. Okay, do I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss ongoing litigation and personnel hire?
Can we get the Pete's 9/11, we reported this commitment, Heroes Mark.
Did you have a report that?
You don't have anything, you want to speak about 9/11 coming up?
9/11 Tuesday.
Yeah.
The way to support everybody who was killed on 9/11.
Right.
That's what it's about.
So
Okay.
Peter,
There's all the American League, way to support that day, everybody that lost their lives. Right.
full disclosure, Pete and I did a brief meeting before and there was no updates on 9/11. And we just talked about the.
That's up to you to allow, you have to feel here. I think that's the day.
Thank you so much.
I request that we make sure that he has a spot on this agenda every month, because it's only right. Sure.
Can do I have a motion to go into executive session for ongoing litigation and personnel hiring? I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Doesn't it have to be the employment, instead of a specific individual?
All right,
Personnel hiring is not a reason to go into the executive session.
we're also gonna discuss ongoing,
Then we're going-
litigation. We're gonna do the personnel suggestions, the personnel duty suggestions.
So that's the employment history of a specific individual. It's personnel.
The. Where was that for a second? I think we have discussed this previously, anything pertaining to.
Litigation or the employment history of a specific individual would be, if we're gonna discuss personnel.
Yes. Okay, in this case, it would be the employment history of a specific individual, this would be mine for a position.
Correct.
So do I have a motion to go into executive session for ongoing litigation and the employment history of specific persons? Make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. With that, please enjoy your refreshments. We'll be back as soon as we finish. There's much, motion to exit from the executive
I make the
session,
motion.
re-enter the town board.
I make the motion.
Okay, for a second. All in favor? All in
Aye.
favor? All opposed, any abstentions, so moved. I'd like to make a motion to hire Mary Jones Mellett as the new code clerk. For 3 days a week. We'll continue our search with the objective to try and hire somebody full-time, but Mary is agreed to come on part-time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Fusco will stay in the code office Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so the code office will maintain the same hours. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Resolutions and abstracts. Oh. We may need to discuss this, but do I have a motion to approve parking tickets at the green space? Can I open the floor for conversation?
Is there a
For
fee?
taxpayers?
So this was for when the River Road Committee, got together when the park was first, gifted to the town in late 2016. The River Road Neighborhood Committee put together a set of rules, and one of those was no parking on River Road. And so we would like to sign no parking on River Road. There's 2 parking spaces, so the whole project was with the initiative that we would have parking at the cul-de-sac and have parking at the Eagle Observation 1. So the residents of River Road do not want parking on the road. It's a narrow road. It's a dangerous situation. So the county has agreed to put up no parking signs. And the sheriff's department will enforce those. There's a suggestion of $50 as a parking ticket that somebody would receive for parking on River Road. It's as a deterrent. The idea is that we, will act upon it, and we don't want people parking there. And the county will sign it for us, meaning that they'll produce the signs and post them, and the sheriff would enforce them, but we would need a motion in order to.
I have a question. So the parking ticket would be for the residential stretch of River Road only?
Yes,
So the cul-de-sac is not ticketed, and then the other end,
and then beyond, yes.
where the new parking is.
Part of the interpretive signage is to give all of the water access points. So it tells you like where you can park, there's like key indicators as to like how to sort of use the new river accesses that are very clear. So those parking spaces would be determined. I think the biggest concern is that there's a new property owner right on the bend of the road with small children. So he doesn't want people parking.
That's fair
close, which
enough.
I can
Yeah.
respect.
That's fair
Yeah.
enough.
So
For everybody on River Road.
We're not
Yeah.
doing it on all. We're not doing it on all town roads that have the same, or county roads have the same concern.
well, this
So-
would be the first, so if there's other spots in the town where we feel like we need to post no parking signs, then people could petition to bring up any other no parking
I don't
solutions.
I don't feel comfortable doing it for one road in the town. If we're gonna say that we're gonna enforce no parking where there's inappropriate places to be parked, then we should do that. And it's not just residential on River Road, there's 2 commercial businesses there.
To be fair, though, this is the recommendation of the Sullivan County DPW commissioner.
Well, and he said if we pass it, he would post it. He didn't make a recommendation
No,
to
but he
do
said
it.
that's a great idea because the road is so narrow and you have residents on there. And he said, yeah, there's residents with small children and they sold off that bottom place for, I think it's a very safe thing to do. I think in the interest of safety, it's a great position to take. If there's other roads that we feel like there's a real danger to people parking at that are used for recreation in this way, then we can of course petition those to the county and bring it before the board. But I think in the interest of safety and the longevity of the project and for fairness, I think we should try to follow the advice of the River Road Commission as well. They met over this over the course of the year to come up with these rules.
I mean, they had a lot of.
Which will be posted as
They
part.
presented.
Yeah.
So there will be no cost to the taxpayer.
There will be no cost to the taxpayer, unless the taxpayers park, where it says no parking.
It's up for the sign.
Yes, no, the county takes care of all signage because it's a county road. Do I have that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Any abstentions? So moved.
Yeah, but the county's got to, it's a county road, they got to handle it all. I understand. People.
Did already.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve a 30-day waiver for advance notice to Il Castello Pizzeria and Restaurant?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Do I have a motion to approve a budgetary transfer to the 2024 general budget in the amount of $64,918.46?
Where is it coming from to?
So, this was part of the top. This is part of the conversation, I believe, that you raised in June about the budget and where those budgetary transfers should take place for the ARPA funds, because it's sort of unbalanced the budget or for a number of funds in the budget that can be accounted for. So our outside firm, Cooper Arias, gave the recommendation, and which just came down to all towns, that it should be a budget transfer. It was added and subtracted in, and then this was related, that recommended, but all municipalities dealt with it. We talked to the Association of Towns, they were at a loss for it too, and St. Peters came back with this, so this is that appropriate budgetary transfer. Do I have a motion? Again, this is to rectify the adding in the ARPA funds to make the budget whole. Because we're spending money effectively that we reassigned from the ARPA funds. They still have to come out of proper categories and line items. Are there any questions about what a budgetary transfer is happening?
No questions?
Do I have one?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second? Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. So I have a motion to pay the highway abstract 7-2024 claims 83 to 96 in the amount of $290,095. Okay. Do I have a motion to pay?
I'm sorry. This was a fix at the very beginning of the.
Is the amount wrong too?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was taken off. And this is the.
Okay. Do I have a motion, to pay highway abstract 7-2024 claims number 83 to number 95 in the amount of $289,784.04. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? So moved. Do I have a motion to pay general abstract 7-2024 claims number 188 to 213 in the amount of $28,500.05? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? So moved. So I have a motion to pay over streetlights number 7-2024 and number 7 in the amount of $140.84. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
So moved. And do I? Okay, great. Do I have a public comment? Yes.
Just want to revisit the fee structure. Tim McKenna had a conversation, helped remind me. So the escrow is specifically to pay for Keystone for the engineer, and it's the initial escrow. So what I plan to do then is I'll speak with Ken Ellsworth and have him come up with what he feels a project is, whether it's the square foot or the total of it, and what would cover his initial fees, and come up with that amount, that determination. But that's the only thing that it's used for. So, and then as a reminder, if the escrow is not all used, once the project is completed, it goes back to the applicant. And of course, if they need more, then we go back to the applicant and say that your escrow is up, but we need X amount more based upon the fee structure that each of the class has. Everything else in the fee structure, the application fees, etc., they're all paid by the applicant. The mailings are paid by the applicant. The cost to review that, the fee structure for the receptionist. To cover that is all separately paid for, so that's specific to the escrow account.
Can I make a recommendation? Sure. Take with it what you will, but instead of using small versus large, we think that it's very subjective. Maybe creating like a tier 1 or tier 2, class A, class, whatever you're looking at, like when the UDC receives projects, they're classified based on a specific class designation, which then encompasses, it's much more encompassing than like a basic square footage range. So you could say a small project could be like shed, an example, so that it's hyper specific, but also really inclusive instead of subjective. So that would be my.
And Jeff, you might want to look to Carrie at UDC, who's like their on-site person who kind of determines scope of projects and things too. I'm sure she's got like a table that would be very easy to use. And just for the general public too, we adopted Keystone as our town engineers at the June meeting. So they are official town engineers. So we don't bid back and forth between the agencies like there are official town engineers.
And also keep in mind, not every project goes to the engineer, it goes to.
It still starts with the code.
Yeah.
Any further public comments? Yes, in the back.
Probably now to ask talk about this, but as far as the parking ticket, what are you supposed to do if the whole tank is full? And then the other thing is work out on the days where they have the farmers market.
So people are not allowed, the farmers market, I just know from experience, puts up no parking signs. And they work very hard, like they have somebody that volunteers to go tell people before the market starts, you can't park here, you can't park here on River Road, so it's not detracted, for residents on that road. When it comes to the cul-de-sac being full, there's 2 parking places that are allotted to use or utilize this green space, which are the cul-de-sac and Eagle Observation 1. Again, this project is paid for by Sullivan 180, so the idea is for people to move and be able to be active there. There is not a handicap parking here because the access is a slope, it's a pressure run, so we don't recommend handicap people utilizing this space in general. So I don't think we have to be concerned with handicap parking. But for the record, state parking on 97 is permitted as long as it's on the other side of the white line. What the goal here is to not cause problems for residents that are on River Road or their kids, or to create a safety hazard. Yes.
I have Mel Carney, Island Lake, of course, I have word for this morning. A brief recap of this administration to date from another vantage point. First order of business, fired a competent code enforcement officer who dared to cite the supervisor and his husband for the violations that exist on their business. Next, humiliate a town employee by.
I'm sorry, can I just stop you?
Code enforcement position at a town board meeting without first speaking to her. Convene an emergency board meeting to remove the planning board chair. Disregard a unanimous board vote and sign a 2-year contract with Fusco Engineering. Threaten our local volunteer firefighters. Accuse the previous administration of committing a felony and forget to offer an apology when proven to be wrong. Protect and defend a town employee whose errors make it nearly impossible to figure out our finances, and by changing a budget line, actually did do something highly illegal. Summon a planning board volunteer to discuss 3 complaints from the public. One is the supervisor's husband, one is the supervisor's friend, and one was the applicant. Continue to maintain to his great embarrassment that the previous town clerk shredded his ticketed documents. Attend the town of Highland's version of eminent domain on private property behind the library. Weaponize the code enforcement office to harass local taxpayers based on anonymous complaints while ignoring 300 violations that have been on file for 2 years. Remove inspection reports that canceled checks confirmed were made. Refuse to support a town employee when accusations were made about her that are unbelievable to anyone who knows her. Create a toxic work environment which caused 3 town employees to resign. Allow for the creation of a personnel file on a volunteer because you just can't get them under your control. Allow the planning board chair to require that information the public request must first be cleared by him. Hire personnel, post job openings, make payment promises, and apply for grants without board vote. Require FOIL requests to go through the town attorney and the town supervisor. It's hard to imagine that there are 2 things I would say that are more egregious than these. Firstly, this supervisor currently has unpaid sales taxes from his business of $60,000. He is now going to play that same financial shell game with the taxpayers' money. He has bonded equipment for the highway department that the previous administration had cash funding reserved for. The bond application required 4 board votes, which it did not have. And now the town of Highland miracle. All of the supervisor's code violations have been closed. Between July 3rd and August 7th, the 25 violations Fusco Engineering cited against the Oasis in 2022 have all been closed. No permits were issued, no planning board appearances were made. Fusco never stepped away from the violations they issued prior to this, but somehow Al Fusco toured the property himself and all the violations have been closed. Mr. Morgan, you said nothing when the supervisor said he wasn't legally required to read certain correspondence. You agreed with him that we had a month-to-month Fusco contract when we didn't. You said nothing when I commented that the bond application didn't have the required votes. You said nothing when the previous administration was accused of improper handling of finances. And apparently you are suggesting that this administration changed their modus operandi to avoid justifiable litigations. Message received. The good people of the town of Highland are on their own.
Thank you for your comment. Any further public comment? Any further public comment?
John, you should be in jail.
Yeah, I know, I should go to jail.
Discussion about Kimura.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I have a comment.
yes,
We always talk of procedure, planning board projects, submission of, site plans and escrow, yet you have never submitted a site plan or planning board application for your business seriousness.
thank you for your
Today,
comment.
that's a couple of years now, and you still operate the business without a,
Thank you for your comment.
of course, it's private, yeah.
Is there any more public comment? Do I have, yes,
Reading the paper about the 211 project, I think it's incumbent upon the town to start to prepare for the legal proceedings that are gonna take place. And I think you have to prepare ahead of time, because I think this is gonna be quite significant. We have a lot of good lawyers, a lot of big time lawyers in this town. We need to access those people.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Are there any further comments? Okay, it's now 8:58, so I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion. I'll second that motion.
Second. Thank you. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you so much. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody.